So I'm definitely for it.
I live on 44th Street as well, and I completely agree with all of your statements. And I have noticed a difference, not only in traffic and for whatever reason, even foot traffic.
Yeah.
And just sketchy characters hanging out, that's cut down tremendously. So I'm definitely in favor of keeping it a one-way.
Just the feel of the neighborhood in a
It's
sense.
different. It's safer.
It just feels different. It's quieter. It's and for me, like Bill was saying, I unfortunately have to drive around. I have to go through Jacoby. It's inconvenience for me as well. Sometimes I forget. When this first started, I would get to my street and I'm like, oh.
Don't give yourself up here because we
I didn't. No, and I had to remember. You're right. And I have to remember to drive all the way around. So when I'm leaving to go to work, it's convenient. But when I'm coming from work, where I have to go all the way around from Springfield and then turn on Chancellor and turn around. So that's aggravating. But I also know the result of it is that we have a quieter neighborhood. The feel is different. People are for it, and it's just an overall totally different feeling. And safety-wise, and again, like I said, I can cross the street without waiting a minute because cars are flying by both directions. So I'm for it.
And I think the point about the pedestrians and the sketchy characters is we did upgrade the lights there.
Yes.
With higher wattage lights there.
Yes.
CNG put those in. Plus we put in that floodlight that goes across to the vacant land, which I think has kept folks that were parking there and dumping. It seems to have helped, and that's helped a lot. I think.
Definitely. When I'm coming home late night, before I used to make sure that the porch light was on. Now if it's not on, I'm okay because my street is bright and I can still see. So definitely 44th Street got a facelift, and my opinion, it's working. Safety-wise, it's working.
Anybody else travel in that area that you want to make a comment?
Did the additional volume get moved to in front of Seth Boyden? You're saying the volume that was reduced going down Jacoby moved up Boyden to Springfield. Does that mean that there's more volume in front of Seth Boyden? I do a lot of driving down Boyden. Usually, it's been a lot earlier now, but usually I'll be going when all the drop-offs are going on, and that typically is mayhem. And I'm wondering if during that high traffic area at time, there's more traffic being shuffled in front of Seth Boyden's school.
Well, our focus was analyzing the traffic on the streets we were dealing with. It's obvious to me that those cars that were going there have gone somewhere else. A good number probably are using Boyden. Boyden is more of a main street, and that's where they should be. At the school, just like every school in town, drop-off time, it's mayhem for 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon, so that happens. But we didn't analyze all the streets around, but that's what's happened is they dispersed out to some of the more major streets, Boyden being a more major street than Jacoby and Harding and Brown, which is where they should be. So I don't have numbers. I didn't count numbers, but that's where I believe they dispersed it.
Tom, my thing is safety on that section going down. Now, you could have cut down traffic, but if you have situations where you have a safety issue, cars going in and out of the bank, cars turning onto Jacoby, cars coming down Springfield Avenue, as cars are navigating Jacoby to now go to Springfield Avenue, because now you got more cars going that way. Safety is my concern. Some people might think, well, okay, now things are more convenient here, there, or whatever. Convenience is not even in my mind about it.
I actually don't think it's convenient. I
Well,
said
let-
it's
safety.
not convenient.
Let's one person speak.
My whole issue is safety. To make sure people can navigate down Jacoby to Springfield Avenue, get on Springfield Avenue safely without coming into traffic hazards, jam-ups, or whatever. Other than that, if there wasn't that situation, I wouldn't be here speaking against it. If I didn't firsthand, when the bank is open, the biggest problem. Or other times of the day when I had to go down Jacoby to Springfield and ran into situations, you know, if it was a clear run with very few obstructions or jam-ups, I wouldn't say a word, because you're gonna have jam-ups wherever you go. You'll have them here and there. It happens. But what I'm seeing, when I go down there, I see it too often, and at different times. So you may have less cars going down because of what was done, but still in all, you're filtering them all down in one direction. What does go down, you're filtering in one direction.
Well, as I said, we've cut down the number of, there's two issues. One is safety and one is the congestion issue. From a safety standpoint, as I said, we got fewer cars, they're going slower. So from a safety standpoint, from my perspective, it's better. The congestion, it's a tight street, cars on both sides. It's
Exactly.
tight. It's not a fast road, and hopefully we can solve some of the congestion issues by signing this a little better and keeping those folks parking here from getting in and out of the bank. So I think
Well,
overall,
one thing we could do-
it's good. It's not a problem.
One thing we could do, what you just suggested, is we could extend the pilot for 2 more months, do these, we're also talking about painting the curbs yellow. So paint the curbs yellow, put the signs in. Actually, if we did that, you would not be able to park from that first house all the way to the avenue, and from the avenue to the first house past the bank. I've also spoken to the bank manager, and she's alerting her customers that there's no parking out there, because some of them have received those tickets and wanted the bank to pay for them. She's informing them, and we're going to be actually doing a talk to the township committee down there on one Saturday or 2 Saturdays this year, and we'll be working with the bank there to get some more information out so we can reinforce that there's no parking. So if we could try this maybe for 2 more months, because it expires at the end of February. So that's why we're having the meeting now, so that we can make some decisions. If we push it off for another 2 months, which would be March and April, we can try these other means and see if we can address some of your concerns around the congestion. Now, I know from driving there and being in there that even from the bank down to Seth Boyden, it's congested because you got parking on both sides, you got the bend, and then you got another bend by Rotary Park there. And so I think it's always been, as the chief said, it's always been congested, a little difficult, to move over, even my block, to move over when one person comes. But if we do it for 2 more months, maybe we can just continue to focus on that section adjacent to Springfield Avenue, get those cars off that, and then we can assess it again and figure out in April sometime whether to continue it further on. Matt?
Hi, I'm Matt Williams. I live on Burnett Avenue. So my auto shop where my money lives is right off the quick check. The money that should be in the bank, that's the bank I use too. So I know the area really well. My daughter went to Seth Boyd. I think all the changes that happen are really solid for the neighborhood. I think anytime speed bumps go in this town, people start respecting speed limits. I know that if we paint out areas that are, if we show some concern at any street corner, especially if we put in a crosswalk indication that says, hey, yield to traffic and crosswalks, that we do downtown and on some of the streets in the area, that remind people when people stand at the corner, you can make it a little more obligatory to slow down and stop, and that helps address some safety issues, and I know if it's carefully marked. Maplewood residents are notoriously capable of following rules. If the rules are pointed out, they don't change. If they're not moving around. The targets we hit very carefully, on Maplewood Avenue down in the village, it's really quite pleasant to walk around down there. And it's a little more painful to drive, but it's good that everybody's in that respect mode. For myself, if I had to be proactive, I haven't seen the situation right next to L&J Auto. I go out of there, I have to make a right, and I have to go around. That's what I used to do anyways. I almost bought a house on Jacoby right behind Seth Boyd, and you loop around and come back up to my house. The two are very contiguous. I feel like part of that neighborhood. I'm at this meeting because I actually looked at it and said I can throw a rock and hit that bank. Would be to have some 15-minute parking or half-hour parking on Springfield. it was dedicated and was, you know, moving along kind of like they do on some of the other streets in town to keep places open. For myself, I go to the bank there. I will preferentially sometimes drive to the other side of town or go, you know, to a different bank entirely. I'll go all the way out by Home Depot to that bank because that parking lot takes 6 cars, and there's obviously a lot of people in the neighborhood who drive that. It's a very convenient location. So for myself, I'm deferring going to the bank because I know there won't be any parking. But if there were parkings right on Springfield, that'd be great because no matter how you slice it, you're gonna end up back on Springfield. Yeah, for me, I have to go all the way around the block to get to my house, or I go around the block to get back on Springfield and head east and then turn around and head west. So I think that the proactive thing would be to move towards finding a way to put 5 or 6 cars on Springfield Avenue as short term for people who want to get into the bank. The bank lot's not going to get any bigger. There's a lot of things down there. We're growing more space in that property. Anyway, I mean, I do appreciate the efforts, and certainly everybody's concerned about safety. You know, it's a #1 deal. So, good.
Anybody else have any comments, opinions? What about this idea of extending it for 2 more months and just keep getting some more data? So it's actually more difficult now because of the snow. It's even probably crimp the whole thing even more. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
2 more
I
months
think-
puts us into the season when the snow's gone. It's hard now with the snow. Everybody's got problems.
Vic, we're fine with it.
Are you okay with it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I really want to clarify, it's not convenient for me, it's actually inconvenient for me to drive to go to Jacoby. But given what's at stake, given the previous conversations we've had with neighbors expressing safety issues and concerns, I realize that's what I had to go through. If I'm, in the end, I'm getting a good result from it, that peace of mind, then I'm willing to go through Jacoby. But it was never, I never said it was convenient for me to drive.
So, what I will report back to the Township Committee Tuesday night is that we'd like to extend it for a couple of months to the end of April, and that we're going to institute a few more measures to get that parking off the corner, and the chief will continue to do your thing. And Tom, you'll put signs up.
Yeah.
You're the sign man.
And we'll paint.
And yeah, let's do some yellow paint there.
The snow's gone.
Okay, so if there's nothing else about that, I want to just go to any comments you have about some of the traffic in the area. I know we did put the bumps in, and you know we've tried to make some other efforts to slow the traffic there. Your information is that all the humps, all the humps are working.
Yes.
I know there's some concern that a couple of the humps are lower than others, and so let's just get that on the table.
Yeah, we measured them all. The normal hump is 3 inches high. We measured them all. They range from 2 3/4 inches high to one is actually close to 4 inches high. So they're all within reasonable tolerances, and they all work. You know, every one has reduced the speeds along Jacoby Street, Brown, 44th, and Harding. So they all work.
My concern is, some of them come down Jacoby Street and fly around the speed hump by me.
That has been raised, and what we will be addressing that.
Okay.
We currently moved the speed humps in a couple years ago to create a 2-foot path for bikers and whatnot. We found that doesn't work quite as effectively as going closer. We put some speed humps in just a few months ago. I asked that contractor if he could extend these humps close to the curb. He couldn't. He can't. Putting a little thin layer of blacktop would just be problematic, and it would peel. There will be, Jacoby Street is on my list for a future paving project. Actually, this area of town is now currently in an area that we can get some county money to do. I'm trying to do Van Ness Terrace this year with some county money. Jacoby Street's on my list, so once we do that, probably the next 2 years maybe, when we mill and pave, we're going to wind up taking out the speed humps. So we're going to redo them, put them back, and then when we put them back, we'll put them back closer to the curb to solve some of the issues. So it's going to happen. It's going to take just a little bit of time though.
Anybody else from any of that? I'd like to move now to the chief.